All right, let's just cut to the chase. The biggest game of the decade is coming, and there is one single question that every PC gamer is losing sleep over. Can my rig actually run it? You've thought about it, I've thought about it, and today we're going to get you the real answer. Because the way you used to check, yeah, that's not going to work anymore. This right here, this is the question, isn't it? Seems so simple on the surface, but the answer is getting way more complicated. And let's be real, it's causing a ton of anxiety for anyone trying to get their PC ready for 2026. And hey, if you're feeling that dread, you are not alone. Our source material literally calls this the single most terrifying question for PC gamers in 2026. So let's break down why it's so scary, and then, more importantly, how to get you a real, honest-to-God answer. Okay, so the biggest issue right off the bat is that the tools you've always relied on, those generic "can I run it" websites, they're completely broken for a game like GTA 6. I'm just gonna say it, they are lying to you. Here's the problem in a nutshell. Those old checkers are incredibly basic. They look at one thing, clock speed, that big gigahertz number on the box. But modern games, they couldn't care less about that. They care about architecture, how smart your processor is, not just how fast it is. Those old sites are using outdated scripts that have no way of seeing the complex bottlenecks that a game like GTA 6 is going to create. It all comes down to this concept called IPC, or instructions per clock. It's all about efficiency. A new, modern CPU can just do way more work in a single clock tick than an old one, even if the old one has a higher gigahertz number. That's exactly why just looking at that number on the box is a total recipe for disaster. And to really get why those old tools are useless, you need to understand the beast that we're dealing with here, the Rage 9 engine. This thing isn't just a little update, it is a massive generational leap in technology. So this engine is basically juggling 3 huge processor melting tasks at all times. You've got real-time global illumination. That's a fancy way of saying super realistic lighting that older GPUs literally can't handle. You've got simulated real-time water physics. And you've got this world event system that's keeping track of thousands of NPCs living their own little lives. I mean, just take a look at the water physics. This isn't just a repeating animation loop like in older games. No. The engine is simulating, in real time, how every single wave crashes and interacts with the shore. That's not a graphics job. That is a raw physics calculation that will absolutely torture your CPU. Let me be completely blunt. If you were sitting there with an older 4-core processor, even if it was top of the line a few years back, your game is going to grind to a halt the second you step onto the beach. It just doesn't have enough cores to handle this new level of physics. And it's not just your CPU that's in trouble. All those thousands of NPCs, they need a ton of system memory to exist. For the last, 10 years, 16 gigs of RAM has been the gold standard for gaming. Well, for GTA 6, that's now the absolute bare minimum just to walk in the door. If you have less, you're going to be stuttering all over the place. Okay, so we've laid out the problem, right? The old tools are simple, but the new game is crazy complex. And that's exactly where the right tool makes all the difference. So let's talk about how SpecVI actually gets this right.
The key difference is that SpecVI is not a generic tool. It wasn't built to check every game under the sun. It was programmed from the ground up, by hand, looking specifically at the architectural demands of the Rage 9 engine. It's a specialist built for one job.
It uses this really smart pass-fail system. It looks for what we call the VRAM trap, instantly failing any GPU that doesn't have enough video memory. It has an SSD mandate because an open world this dense just can't run on an old mechanical hard drive. And it checks for very specific things like the AVX2 instruction set that are mandatory for the game's physics to even function. And the result of all this is beautifully simple. You don't get some confusing list of numbers and percentages. You get a clear, direct answer: pass, upgrade, or fail. And that decision is based on your system's actual architecture, not just the marketing numbers on the box. This quote really is the whole philosophy. It's the difference between a doctor just taking your temperature and one that's running a full diagnostic scan. SpecVA is that full diagnostic scan for your PC. Let's talk more about that VRAM trap. Think of your graphics card's video memory like a fuel tank. Now, GTA 6 at 4K resolution is going to need a big tank, at least 16 gigs. If you have a popular card with only 8 gigabytes, that tank is going to overflow constantly. And when it does, your performance doesn't just dip a little, it falls off a cliff.
And storage speed? Oh man, this is completely non-negotiable. I mean, just look at this comparison. A modern NVMe SSD loads the game world around you in seconds. An old spinning hard drive? It takes over a minute. In a game where you're flying down the highway, that's the difference between seeing a beautiful city and crashing into invisible buildings that haven't loaded yet.
So the way forward is actually pretty clear. You need to stop guessing and get an answer from a tool that understands the technology, that respects the complexity of the game, and that just gives you a simple, straight answer. And here's how easy it is. You just go to the site, you use these simple little drop-down menus to pick your main parts, your CPU, your GPU, your RAM, and your storage. That's it. It takes seconds. So here's the bottom line. Stop guessing. Stop reading conflicting forum posts. Stop worrying about it. Just go to SpecVI.com right now, plug in your parts, and get a simple, definitive yes or no answer. It's really all about being prepared. It's about building for the next generation of gaming, not just crossing your fingers and hoping your old setup can somehow keep up. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. You can spend the next year or so feeling anxious and not knowing, or you can take 10 seconds right now to know exactly where you stand. A perfect, smooth, jaw-dropping launch day experience is right there for the taking. So why wait?